This is the smoothie I've been waiting all day for. I'm going to start with a couple bananas and then mixed berry frozen blend, my favourite. Bonsoy almond milk and heaps of peanut butter. Nice little bit of coconut to finish off. Get that in ya.
Mind calm, engaged. Intelligence and technology. Surfing information. Powerful information. Brainzo.
Alright friends, welcome to another episode of Bonsoy Brainzo. I know, it's been a while, but we're back. We're back in a big way. And to herald our return, we have a very special guest. The grit merchant himself, CAL ROBBO.
Cheers, boys. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you, Cal, Bonsoy team rider, and good to see you back in the CT jersey up there at the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro, mate. You have a good time?
Yeah, it was always a good time being back competing on the World Tour, and especially at Burleigh for the first time in a long time for the event, so that was definitely sick. And yeah, Bonsoy did a great job at the event. The event was a massive success. So I think everyone enjoyed their time up there at Burleigh, so yeah, big positive news for WSL. And yeah, I guess the direction of professional surfing feels like it almost took a big step in the right direction.
I have to agree with you, mate. And you know what? It's going to be a difficult decision, Vorno, for them next year. Like, what are they going to do? I mean, Snapper had its guts ripped out by Cyclone Alfred, and Burleigh was the obvious choice for backing up, but it didn't feel like a backup venue.
I know. Well, the stadium atmosphere was without question like the best I've ever seen. Only Bells on finals day has sort of come close, but Bells is Bells, you know, like it exists in its own little microcosm. But this was like a proper sporting event, like a full stadium thing. What I'd like to know is Cal's been surfing behind the rock post-event. We've had a couple of swells. So, like, what do you reckon, man? Like, once you were back behind the rock, were you going, oh, hang on a minute. Nah, this is actually where we should be.
Yeah, I think absolutely. Like, to be honest, you can't deny the quality of the wave of Snapper. It is world class. It is one of the best waves in the world. I think Burleigh was an A-class backup venue for the event, but when you think about wave quality and high-performance surfing, I don't think you can beat Snapper. But whether just the atmosphere and I guess as well the centralness of the Burleigh event for the whole rest of the Gold Coast, I think there was a lot more foot traffic there. I think there was so many positives to the Burleigh event, but if you're just purely talking the surfing and the wave quality, I don't think you can beat Snapper. Don't get me wrong, I think Burleigh was absolutely pumping and the waves were so fun, super high performance, but like you said, after being back behind the rock and seeing how good that wave is, it's just like, for me, I definitely think Snapper does stand on its own two legs as probably the premier wave in the location.
As if Cal's not going to have a big surf boner for Snapper, though. I mean, he won the Gold Coast Pro just a couple of years ago as a challenger event.
Yeah, it's true.
Of course he wants to get back there. He also wants to get himself back on the CT, mate, and the Challenger Series is about to kick off. Mate, you're looking like you're ready to pull on the jersey for the Ballina Seagulls and run out and play a GF. That's how fit you're looking. Are you ready to go or what?
Yeah, I'm absolutely pumped. Obviously, it's been a long time since competing. Obviously, since apart from the recent Gold Coast Pro, was Sakurima maybe 6 or 7 months ago. So it's been a long time, but it's been really good for me to be able to just go and purely just work on my surfing. I think that's what I didn't have over the last 3 years of being on tour, was just that constant, just feel like you're always keeping up and catching up. Whereas now it's been so good to have 6, 7 months of just purely work on my surfing and just start to take my career in the direction that I want to and have a bit of time to actually sit back, plan, reassess your whole setup and what you're working on, and then kind of just like look to tackle this Challenger Series just head on. So I'm pretty pumped.
Sick. Well, Vorno and I were talking about it on the commentary. Cal just looks so right where he belonged when he was back in that CT jersey.
Yeah, big time. Just kapow, run it straight, come at me. All that sort of stuff. I love it, Cal. It's kind of the mongrel, like, you know, between you, Morgs, and Julian Wilson, we kind of saw the rebirth of the Australian proper animal in this event. And
bit of mange
it was
in
good
there.
to see, mate.
Bit of mange.
Bloody good to see. I was frothing.
Bit of mange on those mongrels too.
Yeah, bit of mange, don't mind.
Scratchy, bit itchy. You don't want to get bitten by them, mate.
junkyard dogs,
that's a tetanus shot.
Junkyard dogs.
But junkyard dogs, that's true. But on the back of the success of the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro, we just went, you know what, we're going to dedicate an episode of Bonsoy Brainzo to the event. So much to celebrate, lots we want to talk about. We were giving Cal the word on Brainzo, 20 questions. We're going to give the audience a bit of time to think about it before you guys jump in with your buzzers. And those buzzers will be, Vaughan?
Semi, for semi-soybean, right there.
And froth.
Froth and Sammy for Sammy Soybean. Yeah. Okay. So you guys jump in. I just wanted to, before we dive into our 20 questions, you got something to say, Vaughan?
I just wanted to say, if you didn't catch the comp,
yes,
we've got 2 episodes of Ain't That Swell, an interview with Julian that just went live.
Oh, beauty.
And a contest rap that you can listen to. The Lit Boys did a really cool contest rap as well. So you
Always
can kind of
do.
educate yourself and then come back to Brainzo if you don't feel like you're going to be up for the 20 questions.
Smart. Really smart. Just before we dive into our 20 questions, you know, you guys are both big Bonsoy advocates, ambassadors, if you will. So I just wanted to test your Bonsoy knowledge. So I'm going to let you guys go back and forward on each of the Bonsoy beverages, and the person that gets the most, well, when you get one right, you get a point. So we're going to kick it off with that.
Yeah.
So let's name all the Bonsoy beverages, starting with you, Cal.
We're going to go the ginger sparkling water.
The coconut water.
Coconut water.
Beautiful.
Coconut
one. There's 12 in total. Vaughan?
Are you going to give him a ding for that? I'm just going to go the good old Butte, make it with me morning cappuccino, Bonsoy soy milk, the official milk of the WSL.
Cal?
Nice. I'm going to go the Bonsoy oat milk.
I'm going to go the Bonsoy kombucha in a whole range of probiotic
Oh,
flavours.
you're going to own the whole range.
Oh, what? I've got to go all the different flavours.
No.
Bro.
We could be here forever.
All right.
Okay.
Well, what about the UTI cleansing cranberry and pomegranate?
I'm going to go the passion fruit coconut sparkling water.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to go the lemon and ginger coconut sparkling water.
Cal's already said it.
Oh, damn it!
Look, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on,
Clearly,
please.
you guys are across
We
it,
love
but
it.
we got the sparkling coconut waters, a range of flavours. Vaughan, you mentioned the range of flavours in the kombucha.
Yeah.
Kombucha, lemon, ginger. One of my favourites. Help yourselves, fellas.
Yeah, we'll do.
That's the good gear.
Here
So
we
fresh.
go. Let's get into this Brainzo.
Then you got your almond milk as well, the oat milk from Bonsoy. You got everything you need right there. So get into it. But get ready, fellas. Let's dive into it. Question 1. What's the name of the Bonsoy coffee shop on each event site during the Aussie treble?
Froth.
Go, Cal.
Is it the Cafe del Froth?
Bing.
Let's go.
Well done, brother. And it gets plenty of plugs on the broadcast, so if you were watching, you shouldn't have got that wrong.
Spend my half my life down there, actually. Shout out to Megsy and Alexander and Mikey and the crew. And Raph, who's always down there.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Doing an awesome job. Keeping the whole event just powered big time. Question 2. During the event window, Wildcard Stephanie Gilmore played a gig with which Aussie rock band?
Sammy. That, yeah, I got that?
Yeah.
That'd be Spiderbait. And rip a fair lid off it, she did.
Mate, well, off the back of that, thank God we had a few lay days for him.
Oh, that was a big
you and I kind of got caught up in the gig, in the crowd, and it took us a fair while to swim out of the rip.
Hello Sport riptide as well later on that evening. So shout out to Tom and Eddie.
Yeah, big shout out to them. All right, one apiece. Question 3. Who had the highest heat score of the men's Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro?
Froth.
Go for it, Cal.
I'm going to go Felipe.
Sammy? I'm going to go Julian Wilson against Marco Migno. Big fat slob and then a backup wave. Absolutely tore the living bag out of it.
Wasn't against Marco.
Oh, dang it!
Although he did put up some pretty good numbers against Marco. That was a close heat. He actually put together an 18-point heat score total, 9.5, 8.5 against Miggy Pupo.
Oh.
You know what was incredible about Julian's run? He came through the trials. Obviously, the trials, Cal, you watched those. They were so stacked. His first heat was a really tough one. Reginaldo, who else was in that one? He had another tough customer to overcome, but no easy road into the main event. In his 7 heats, because he had to come through the elimination round, he caught 83 waves.
What?
He had 17 waves in the final.
83 waves. Old
Yeah.
man bones just creaking all the way. Well, not so much, I guess.
Yeah.
Bonsoy strengthening that gear up.
I threw it out there during during one of his clashes. You know, Jules is just like physically such a different specimen to what he was. It's obviously put on a bit of muscle, but I kind of bungled the comparison. But you know, like with all the tech these days, and you know, you're training at the high performance center. It's just amazing the science that's going into your training now. And I said that Julian looked like he'd been in the snow training like Rambo, but I meant to say Rocky. You know, when he was prepping for his fight with Drago.
Yeah.
He's just a beast,
I was super impressed with that. Like you said, and the way that he surfed his heats, he didn't stop. Like you said, he was consistently rolling the ball. And I was almost expecting there to be a moment where he would pull up stumps and be quite fatigued and show that in his performance. But there wasn't once where he showed that. So for him to come back, and especially it's not just the physical element of catching 83 waves or whatever that might have been. It's also just the mental toll of and the mental stress of not being in that environment for 4 years and then coming back into it. So you haven't just got the physical, you've got the mental load that I think is quite impressive, that he actually was able to keep that consistent through the whole event and just not really and have one of his best performances in the final.
Amazing. You know, I think toward like when we saw Jules at the last time on the CT, toward the end of his campaigns, there was a lot of overthinking happening and probably a lot of thought going into wave selection and whatnot. When he just takes off, gets to his feet and does what he does, he's proven that he's near unbeatable.
Yeah, he's in the best, if not the best form of his career, definitely just the best headspace of his career. And nobody catches more waves, Ronnie, than a parent who's got a 30-minute window to have a quick surf when their kids are on the beach running around in all different directions. It's like the ultimate, fuck, got to get out there, got to get me waves, come on, win it. Otherwise, it's back to the beach and dealing with all that.
All right, well, I don't know, Vaughan. I'm going to give you that one, but
Right.
yeah, it was against Miggy.
Thank you.
But yeah, great performance.
He went mad against Marco, though, just to
He did.
just to back myself.
Who had the highest heat score of the women's Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro?
Froth. I'm going to go Aaron Brooks.
Nailed it.
Let's go.
Just folded me here.
Against Steph. Correct.
Bang, he's good. 17.76.
What?
Erin also had 2 9.43s. So she's gnarly. You know, it's really interesting watching her surfing. I think, Cal, you can speak to it. But Erin's kind of creating a real point of difference with just how quick she is in transition and her ability to get from that bottom turn into that vertical position and always, like, super critical. Just attacks the bowl.
Yeah, like you said, like really good technically on her backside. And as well, she's just aggressive and she just has that, like, I'm just going to keep slapping it down the point until I can't anymore, which is like, I feel like a lot of these surfers might tend to kind of back off the throttle halfway down the point. She seems to just continue just to push and push and push the whole way down. I think obviously reflecting that highest heat total of the event.
Yeah.
I reckon
amazing
at
to-
17, the best backhand female athlete ever on the Women's World Tour. Like, I can't think of anyone who can just relentlessly at high speed as you said, hit it that vert on the most cupped out sections and whip it. And she's got like a variety in the backside snap too. It's not just, she can punch it like a good typical backside Hoyo blast, but she can also do that TB kind of pivot on the lip and throw that tail out the back, and that's just as spectacular.
Yeah.
Incredible, mate.
I think point of difference is always a big thing for judges, and you see people when they come onto the tour and the comparison with established names like Steph. Steph's act so rounded, so beautiful, and that was just like, whoa. Just unbelievable. But the crazy thing about Katie and Erin is where we see so much from them already, and there's so much room for growth.
Yeah. And what I think is noticeable within the female surfing realm is I feel like just a speed difference. I feel like that is what, when you're a spectator or a judge and you're watching it, when a female can actually show that point of difference with the speed and how quick they're going from transition to transition, that's what kind of I feel like gets the judges engaged as well. So that's what I thought was really impressive of, like you said, the Katies, the Erin, just how quick and how fast they're actually surfing. It's like, for me, that's just the point of difference that I see that I feel like we all buy into and want to see more of.
So good to hear it from someone who actually knows what it's like to
Someone who's been fast on a surfboard.
Question 5. Who has more CT wins on the Gold Coast? Steph Gilmore or Kelly Slater?
Demi, I'm going to say Steph.
Froth. I'm going to go the Kelly. Oh, what?
Oh! 6 wins apiece.
Oh, God.
So they're both up there. So you're both wrong, basically.
That's a hard one.
Kelly's victory spanned from 97 to 2013, which is pretty remarkable. Steph's obviously the wildcard victory 2005 all the way to 2017, and God, it was good to see her back in the jersey. Man, you just forget,
Well, I said this during the breakdown on Blitz that Smithy and I did. I was like, there's only really 2 surfers who can beat Steph on a right-hand point if it's firing, and that's Katie and Erin. Like, I can't see anyone else. Katie's got the speed, and even when in their round 1 heat where they were going at each other, and you could tell that Katie was really putting in a big effort, which you don't often see in her surfing so much. She always had that kind of, even in the WSL finals, she just looked so cruisy and buttery. You could tell she was whacking a bit of extra sting, but Steph's power just throws buckets and buckets of water, as Katie doesn't yet. So, yeah, I think Steph's, you're right. Good to see her back, but also just the difference between her and the rest of the field is actually quite obvious.
Yeah.
Like, you could really see it.
Yeah, just right in her most comfortable place, a right-hand point break on the Gold Coast is always going to spell danger for the rest of the field, but great performance from Steph. Question 6. After winning the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro, Felipe Toledo moved to 10th place on the Championship Tour's all-time winners list. How many victories has he now had? Most CT victories.
Froth.
Go on, have a stab at it.
I'm going to go 13.
Sammy, I'm going to go 18.
Yeah.
Hate being wrong in Brainzo.
It's 16. Oh. He broke his deadlock with Martin Potter on 15 Championship Tour wins. Maybe there's a little asterisk there for you, Vaughan, because that's not counting his 2 WSL finals wins, which you can't count. They're only 3 hits.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, no. I'm not going to give it to you. So he's standalone in 10th place now, and one more win will put him on level pegging with Medina, Mark Richards, and the great Barton Lynch.
What?
Which is pretty remarkable.
Wow.
What I wanted to ask you guys is, how many more wins you think he might have in him? Because the top 5 of all time seems in reach, and that is Slater 56, Curran 33, Carroll 25, Fanning 22, Irons 20. victories.
Wow,
Damien Hardman's also got 19 CTs. He's in 6th place.
I think he'll get 3 more before the end of his career at least. So I reckon he's hunting down AI. Did you say AI's on 20?
AI's on 20.
Yeah, I reckon he'll finish there or thereabouts, maybe 19 or 20. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
Cal?
I reckon he's in the 20s for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy to hear Kelly 56. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah.
That's just like, doesn't even feel real.
The winning would have to start so early for someone to eclipse that because there were so many events in a regular season.
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
When Slater wrapped
Yeah,
up.
I mean, famously, Damien Hardman won 7 CTs in 1 year and didn't win the world title.
Amazing.
That's obscene.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a good
it's
stat.
It was a
Thanks
tough
for that.
question, but it just blew my mind when I just saw where he was at. And also, I don't know, it just seemed like Medina, just had such an edge. But, obviously with him absent is a massive opportunity for Felipe to catch up. And I just love the idea of him coming back and looking to defend that title.
His own legacy.
Yeah, his own legacy as the most winning surfer currently on the CT. Question 7. What championship tour event did Gold Coast Pro commentator Richie Lovett win? Love you, Rich.
Oh, Sammy, for sure.
What? Cal, I'm sure I mentioned it 1,000 times when you were commentating with Richie and myself up on the Gold Coast.
Oh, I've got this one. That would be Trestles. And he beat
what
Taj
year?
Burrow in the final.
Beat Taj Burrow.
Yeah.
Don't get extra points for that.
The year was 2003.
Wow.
Because it was he was one of the only surfers to win an event in that Kelly and Andy year where they won everything except 3 events for the entire year.
I'll get to that in a second if you don't mind. Question 8. Who won the Gold Coast Pro in 2003? Yeah, it was always going to be hard for the Grom to get you, Vaughan, on these. Let's
Ancient
call them
old reptile questions.
Antique questions.
Sammy. It was Dingo Morrison.
Yeah.
I was there. And it was...
Same.
It was so sick, man. Like Dingo and Occy in the final. And Dingo just went turbo snapper, like warrior on him. He was picking off 1 foot little roll throughs off the bat, like that were just sort of refracting around the rock. And they just grow into these 3 to 4 foot grinders down the point. And he was just going that quick. They surfed a lot of heats that day, Ock and Dingo. And, mate, I reckon it was sort of like getting towards late arvo. And, mate, you think the Snapper Surf Club went mad when Parko won. But it was going turbo when the ding got up.
Oh, it sure was. Yeah, I was there too, Vaughan. We looked pretty different back then.
We did. Hair, white teeth.
You had hair.
A general sense of
no
well-being.
I had no hair on my back and my shoulders.
A general sense of well-being that young people have. Before,
Yes.
Yeah. The nocturnal activities start wearing them down.
Mate, thank God for Bonsoy getting us back on track.
Oh, thank
health-wise.
goodness. Yep, love it.
Hey, so you mentioned it too. That year, 2003, dominated by Kelly and Andy. 4 wins for Kelly, 5 wins for Andy, and the world title. 3 winners: Dean Morrison, Richie Lovett. You know who won the other event, Vorno, that year?
Was it Snake?
Yeah.
Well played.
Snake at Sunset.
Snake at Sunset, that's right. Because that's the famous comp where, Kelly and Andy are doing battle and they have a heat where Kelly loses the heat as Andy's paddling out for the heat. And Andy yells out, "Oh, you just left the door wide open, brah."
He had a couple of those, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he won in France that year, put the champagne on ice.
That's right.
That's so good.
What a legend.
Ledge.
Question 9. Who shaped Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro winner Betty Lou Sakura Johnson's winning craft?
Froth. That Matt Biolis. Mayhem.
Nailed it. She looks good on the PU boards. I like man, she had great finishes and huge results riding Slater Designs, but you could speak to it, Cal. A switch up changes as good as a holiday, and she just looks reinvigorated on the boards.
Yeah, and I just think for overall consistency across a whole year, across so many different waves, going to someone like Matt, or like, I just feel like these top tier shapers, they just have that consistency from having all that experience shaping for so many world title campaigns and going to all these different locations. I just feel like they have that consistency across the board, and I feel like that's probably what Betty's feeling, is that consistency in her equipment and that trust that she knows that wherever she goes around the world, that Matt's obviously been in there, done the testing with, say, people like Carissa or people like Caroline, all these different surfers that have been to all these different locations, and she's reaping all the benefits of that, which I think for her, and obviously just the way she's surfing at the moment, I just feel like, yeah, like you said, cutting a little bit deeper, just feeling like she's just really connected to her equipment, which I think is like one of the best things as a surfer, is to have that feeling.
Mate, she hammered her first wave in the final, that 8.5. It was really well surfed start to finish. I felt like too she was kind of overcoming some she was conflicted mentally after beating Vahine. There was a bit of banter about that, you know. It's competition. I saw her after the final and I just said, you don't have to feel bad for that. Like,
Tommy Wirtz, her coach, was just going, what are you talking about? That was a masterstroke. You were a legend.
He snuffed it out straight away.
He snuffed it all right. He got the wet leaves and just...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, old Snuffy Patterson.
Old Snuffy Whitaker.
Snuffy Whitaker. Exactly right. Hey, but Cal, what did you make of that?
Yeah, for me, it's competition, right? It's whatever happens in that 30 or 35 minutes, that's just... that is competition. I think a lot of times surfing probably gets mixed up a little bit as that probably more spiritual, like just like
pursuit.
Yeah, it's pursuit of just surfing and just let them surf. But at the end of the day, we're competitive surfers that compete. And for me, coming from like footy or those different sports where you just like just like at each other. So like for me, I love that, and watching Betty Lou do that sort of stuff. It's just like, that's the name of the game. Like I've been in heats with Gabby and stuff where they're just like, he's paddling around you, just like doing all this gamesmanship, and it shits you to tears, but it's like, it's just part of the game. Yeah.
You know what I reckon stinks? Puts the fart right in my face.
Oh, yeah.
Is if Jack Robinson is doing that to Felipe at Chopes and forcing an interference, he's celebrated. When Andy Irons was doing it to Kelly, it's celebrated. When Betty Lou's doing it to Vahine, it's frowned upon. And it's just like, you can't...
Who's frowning on it, though?
Oh, just in, God, social media, mate. Just
please, Ronnie, come on. You know better than to go into that world, mate. Come on.
No, I think it's an interesting conversation point. But
it probably is, because I think the women's tour has been so supportive for so long, because they had to have each other to get around the world and have support.
Not anymore.
No, mate, no. It's every woman for himself. Start
Gloves
sharpening
off.
those elbows, eh? The old CAL ROBBO elbow sharpener out and start throwing them around the second you get out there.
I backed it.
Yeah,
It was good, and led to her first CT victory. So a big congrats there to Betty Lou on a massive charge up the rankings too. She went from 13th to 6th place.
Crazy.
Unbelievable.
I'm sure she's not losing sleep over it now with her
mate.
trophy.
Nah.
Sitting comfy.
Yep, right there on the pillow next to her. Heat 10. True or false? Bonsoy team rider, the Bells champ, Isabella Nichols, dropped out of the top 5 after a 9th place finish on the Gold Coast.
Sammy, false. Top 5 still.
Top 5 and had a quarterfinal finish on the Gold Coast. Just a remarkable run of events for Isabella, a 2nd place finish, a win, and a quarterfinal. Like, even just to keep backing up those results.
Is she number 1 on this GWM thing? Is she going to win a new car at the end of this thing? She's won it, Margie. So
Yeah,
it's going to be, that'll be fun to track, actually, the Aussie treble outcome.
do we know if Morgie's getting is Morgan getting the start in Margie's?
Well, the communication was he wasn't eligible for the
that
Tank
needs
300.
to change.
Yeah.
There's no consequence.
that's a shocker.
There's no consequence to anyone else if Morgie is given the opportunity. to win the Aussie treble. In fact, it's a better story in some ways than someone on tour winning it. Just some
100%.
battler coming in from
Yeah.
underneath and winning a new car.
Yeah. I seen his Subi coughing, spluttering the whole way to Burleigh.
Oh, mate, that's what I said. Give Morgan.
Hasn't he? He's just cut a hole in the floor of it. He's just running around like Freddie Flintstone.
He needs the tank. Give him the tank.
Give him the tank. Put
Yeah,
more
we got to
in.
start it. Hashtag give Morgs a tank.
Yeah, it's so Isabella remains in fourth place behind Molly in third, Katie in second, Gabby still hanging on to that number one position. But yeah, she's only a few thousand points off the lead, and things really tightened up on the men's side too, which is it's going to be fun to watch when we get over to WA.
Geez, Gabby's feeling the weight of that yellow jersey. It looks like it's made out of solid gold when she paddles out of it. Like, she's had 2 heats with it on, and both were awful. Much love to you, Gabby. And Shell.
Question 11.
But she's so good.
She
you know,
is.
like it's just a matter of like understanding how to wear that thing. You hear everyone say it all the time.
Yeah, and you can't mention Gabby without mentioning Italo, who looks like he's kind of feeling the heat as well with the yellow jersey on in these past couple of events. Question 11. Someone's maybe going to benefit if someone else can't convert here, but name the 9 CT rookies that competed at the Gold Coast Pro. Have a little think.
That is
It's a big one.
a hectic question.
Froth.
Come on, Cal. You would have surfed more heats against these guys than half the CT.
And on the Changa as well.
Oh, except for the women's division. I haven't seen yourself.
All right. I reckon you got George, Peter. We've got Joel Vaughan. We've got Marco. We've got Edgard. We've got who else in the men? Oh, we've got Al Cleland.
Bang. Love him.
We've got Vahine. We've got Aaron. We've got we got Bella Kenworthy.
Yes. One more.
And then we've got
It's on the men's side.
Jackson Bunch.
Wow! Feather pillows.
Bunch.
Yeah.
Big alley-oop. The landing's absolute butter. Feather pillows on the landing for Bunch. You got the squirt.
It'll squirt off the bottom bunch now.
Yeah. Go for the barrel.
Shout out to Paulie Evans,
Yeah.
one of the great commentators.
One of the great calls. One of my favourites this year, Abu Dhabi Wave Tank.
We've got to do shipmates of that for this episode, I reckon. Put it
mate,
out.
It's a beauty. All right, question 12. Good job, Cal.
Ow, cow.
Stoked on that one.
Yeah, well done. Which men's CT campaigners became new dads just before and during the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro?
Froth.
Sammy,
Oh, you got in there with a little...
you reckon I got my little Voldemort tongue out?
A little bit.
Yeah. Go on, Vaughan.
It was Connor O'Leary and Ryan Callanan. But,
Bonus point.
no, don't do it to me.
Can
Two
you-
girls.
Yeah, girls.
Oh, you're not going to ask me to name them.
Yeah, what were their names?
Was it Lane and Trudy?
Carol, you got...
I got Penelope. It was Ryan's kid.
Yes.
And then
Penelope Joy Callanan.
Connors was something Sakura. What's the first name?
Romy.
Romy. Oh. That's it.
Yeah, Romy Sakura O'Leary. Big shout out to the boys and also their beautiful wives, Steph, Nina. Congratulations, guys.
Love you guys.
All right, question 13. Who is leading the WSL Championship Tour ranks after the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro?
Froth.
So busy throwing shade, I didn't even remember to hit me buzzer. Me mouth buzzer.
Gabby on the women's side, Italo on the men's.
Hanging in there, despite both falling out of the mix pretty early on. But
Wild.
kind of gave that one away a couple of questions ago. But Yeah, it's getting interesting on the men's side in particular. You know, you go back to before Bells, and Italo was almost a second place result ahead of the field. Now it's only a couple of thousand points. And on the women's side, I said it before, only a few thousand points separating sort of fifth place to the lead. So,
and Katie and
big shuffle.
Gabby are tied at the top, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's interesting, as
It's going to be huge.
Such different styles of surfing going on there.
100%.
The other thing is, like, imagine, because next year, obviously no WSL finals, no top five, none of that. Like, imagine being Italo with this sort of lead and having it sort of pulled away from you. Like, how do you rebuild after, you know, I mean, the closest thing that I've seen to a lead that solid was Parko in 2009, and we all know what happened there.
Yeah. Well, this year's interesting because, you know, Italo's main objective is to go in as a higher seed at Cloudbreak rather than number 5 and have to, you know, gas himself or show everything he's got before he gets to the final matchup, because that's kind of what's killed him, is showing all his – needing his best to get past the other title contenders, but showing it all before he gets to the big boss.
Here's a little scoop for you that I didn't know about. It's probably not a scoop, but everyone at the contest seemed to know except for me. But the best of 3 only gets activated at Fiji if the number 1 seed loses. So if the number 1 seed wins the first heat, there's no 2 or 3 heat. Do you hear about that?
No.
Yeah. That's what
like
I've heard. Mate, I'm probably wrong now that I've said it out loud on a public forum that everyone can listen to, but that's what I heard. I heard number 1 seed wins the first best of 3 and it's done.
Well, that's kind of how it works anyway, just by way of the fact if they win, number 1 seed wins.
No, you know how like the WSL finals match was a best of 3 regardless.
So you're a world champ if you're number 1 seed and you win the first heat.
That's what I've heard.
Oh, so what, just finished?
That's it. Game over. Comp done. You haven't heard that? Is someone stitching me up?
No, I back it though.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's like that's almost more incentive to go in and like leans itself to that being more of a advantage.
Yeah.
Look, don't quote me on it. But I was chatting with...
I love it. Just the catalyst for a complete format overhaul.
I know. But I heard that was one of the main changes coming in this year is like if number 1 seed wins the first of the best of 3, game over, world champ decided. So, yeah, look, I can't look it up now, but I'll get to the bottom of it by the time we get to Margaret's because I'm going to sound like a dead set moron throwing that out during the broadcast.
That's good. I back it.
Okay.
Question 14. What does Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro commentator Laura Enever hold the Guinness World Record for?
Froth.
That's Cal.
The world's largest wave for a female. Is that right?
I need one more detail from you there, Callum.
Paddling.
Says it. Gets the point.
Love to know what the score is here.
Laura got the honoured at the Australian Surf Industries Honours Night for being the Surfer of the Year on the back of her performance in the Eddie. But man, oh man, they played a little highlight reel of her achievements and just some of her waves from, you know, Undone, her film projects and stuff. You should never, but you just sometimes do, just forget how mad she is. She's such a bubbly, like, just little personality that you just forget how serious her big wave pursuits are. They're just next level.
I asked her what she was thinking about underwater at the recent Ain't That Swell Live on the Goldie. I was like, when you're getting rolled by, like, you know, a closeout set at Waimea Bay, like, what's going through your mind? Because I said, you know, Ross Clark-Jones famously just pretends he's in a really good nightclub, just getting bashed around by the mosh pit kind of thing. But Laura was like, I don't know, I'm just under there panicking.
She's so good.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's relatable.
Yeah, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense.
Right, she's a beauty.
Awesome.
On your law. Question 15. And we've been throwing a couple of easy ones out lately because we had a couple of fans hit us up down at Bell's. A couple of Groms who listen to the show say, we love the show, but a lot of the questions are sort of beyond us.
Too many antique questions.
We're two decades late to getting a shot at these questions. So we're throwing some softballs in there for the Groms as well. Question 15. Who scored the only 10-point ride of the event? Jump on it, boys. Jump on it.
Sammy.
Couldn't hear you, Cal.
I think you got the out before I got my out. Both sound like really bad silent farts.
Yeah.
Both do. Go for it, Cal.
Felipe.
Yeah.
How do you rate that one? Like, in a rashy compared to other... I'll tell you what actually bummed me out. I said this to Bronny during one of our... I can't remember, it was on Brainzo or whatever, but I was going, what bums me out is that after what we saw Ethan do at Bells, I was going, we're going to get to the Burleigh and someone's going to do a full road and get a 10-point ride. And I was like, fair enough, but there is a disconnect where the rail surfing does get excellent scores from time to time, but it's so rare to get a 10 for it when what Ethan did at Bells is still the best surfing of the year in that one heat.
Pretty good. But on Felipe's there specifically.
Yeah. The barrel.
Pretty nuts.
Yeah. It was sick. Absolutely mental. I heard some calls maybe on the broadcast best wave at Burleigh.
Oh, yeah. I shut that down.
Yeah. But no doubt, absolutely sick.
Rich was just...
That was a bit frothy.
Squirting rosé all over the place at that point.
But absolutely sick. Especially like, I think you guys mentioned in the broadcast how hard it was to do an air like that on a day like that. The wind blowing from the south, making it really hard for that board to stick to your feet. So yeah, absolutely mental. And just how sick that wave was and how it looked looking into it was incredible. And I think for the context of the heat as well, I think all this stuff is contextual to the heat. And I think the fans maybe watching it back sometimes forget that. But yeah, 10 points, pretty sick.
Nice moment. Third 10-point ride of the year, Vaughan. You know who's got the other two?
I don't. No.
Cal?
Jeez.
Did Yago get one in Portugal?
No.
There's been 3 10s this year. That surprises me.
That does surprise me too.
Round of 32, Jack Robinson lost with a 10-point ride.
That was sick.
Had a heat score total of 12 something. And then Baron Mamiya on his mad run.
What am I doing? They're two of the best. Like, Baron's wave of the year so far. Jack's isn't far behind, and Philippe's is third. But I would actually have Philippe's fourth. I'd have Ethan's 3-turn, mic drop at Bell's third.
Yep.
That's just me.
Fair enough.
Australian flag hat.
Yeah. All right. After... Yeah, where are we at? Question 16. After Betty Lou's first CT victory, only 3 women on the tour now haven't had a championship tour win.
3 women on the entire tour.
Who are they?
Wait, that can't be right.
That's right.
And what event are we at?
We're up to event 7. But
7. So
haven't had a CT win.
Is there only 10 women on the tour?
No.
Just
in general.
Yeah.
There's only 3 women who haven't had a CT win
I thought you meant this year.
Tour. Wake up, Vaughan.
Okay, sorry. Okay, good.
Wake up and smell the kombucha.
Are you going to have a crack at this?
I think I know it.
Go on. No, I got no idea.
Is it Bella Kenworthy? Bella Kenworthy, Sawyer Lindblad, and then Vahino.
Oh, Vahino's got one. She won Chopes.
I thought so.
Oh, hang on. There's a third one. Oh, God.
Everyone out there knows who it is. Everyone.
Nadia Aristabre.
No, it's a good one. She's a replacement surfer.
Oh, okay. This is hectic.
Made the final at Bells.
I thought Betty Lou was in the final at Bells.
Nah, Betty Lou won the Bonsoy Gold
Oh,
Coast Pro.
Brisa.
Bro, Brees has got multiple CT
Oh, my
wins.
God. What am I doing? Vaughan.
Oh, God, we're having mind blanks.
Brain's going out
I'm
the
going
window.
to help you guys out. Luana Silva.
Oh, sweet Luana Silva.
Yep.
She's definitely going to win one, though.
Oh,
She's
my
so
God. She
good.
surfs
She's gnarly.
so good. You could just see for her the last two events just getting back towards that point where she's realising she might have a shot again. At Burleigh, it was just nerves. But some of her free surfing in El Salvador too, like
Just her lip attack's really good. She's got a swoop and a crack.
yeah,
That's all you really need, like to get big points. And I think you guys were saying on the commentary, going back, winning the World Junior title, just getting that, like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm actually quite young. I know everyone on tour is pretty young, but it's good to remind yourself that you belong there. And she's a winner.
Yep.
So she'll get it.
Yeah, she's got
That's for you, Luana.
the weapons to do so, like you said.
Yeah,
That through the lip attack, massive point of difference.
massive point of difference. Front side, like big, solid vert power hits, is kind of where certainly on the back end, Erin Brooks is creating a point of difference. On the forehand, I feel like Luana Silva could really kind of own that on the women's tour. So good on her, ripping, getting close. And Sawyer's surfing well too. Bella Kenway.
I'm so sorry, Mikey. Sorry, Katie. Sorry, Brisa. You've won about 5 comps, haven't you?
Yeah. Question 17. Who surfed in the WSL Heritage Heat at the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro?
Come at me, girl. Run it straight, bro. Sammy.
Go for it.
It was Parko Mick.
Yeah.
And it was...
Who won?
Parko comboed Mick, and it was a bummer that they got the worst surf of the entire contest window, pretty much. I think Morgan's heat against Aleo was probably on par for just crappy surf, but Mick and Joel were just so ready to go. 8 heats apiece in their career, 16 heats total they've surfed, and there was all that opportunity to really open up. And Joel I think Joel's just been doing so much time out there, he just knows the lineup a little better.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good on you, Vol. Yeah, I was going to say we all won.
We did all win.
But that's just such a treat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getting having icons paddle out at venues. Mick, Mason, Steph paddled out at Bells and had a little free surf. There is enough time in an event window and enough lay days and afternoons where they can't complete a round or once they've completed a round, they won't start a new one, that there's time for that stuff to happen. Bring it on. More of it. The more, the better.
Yeah. And like you said, trying to get them in obviously you got to balance those good windows, those good opportunities for the full-time competitors, but the more we can see them in the better conditions, I think places like Bells probably was a little bit lackluster in the conditions, and we want to see those heritage heats still in pump and wave.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
For sure. And Parko, and Mick, they're not that far off CT. I feel like they could get wild cards into really pump and surf like J-Bay, big clean bells, a couple of other spots, and properly pull the Morgie and the...
Yeah.
And,
They're on their day, they're still brilliant. It's a different... Speed's the difference now, I feel like, but also you don't want to see those guys going full on at the criteria. You want them to have a bit more time on the wave because they're just such, unique styles to watch. And the deadlock's been broken. It was 8 wins apiece, 16 head-to-head matchups as championship tour competitors, and the Heritage Heat broke the deadlock. Parko's got the edge. Mick will be pushing for another bout. Parko might do the Jerry Seinfeld and just win the race and
Hang the boots.
choose not to run. But bring it on.
You boys probably know Mick in that more than me. Well, how do you think that's going to sit with him, like, genuinely? Do you reckon that'll actually rattle him a little bit?
They're highly competitive, but I just think based on the conditions, Mick just went, nah.
Yeah.
And
back to your point is they still surf that much. Like, you see you see Mick at D-Bay, you see Parko out at Snapper last couple of days. Like, they still have that froth. I think that's cool to see, is that, like, those surfers that have spent so much time in the water, traveling the world, they still froth and just love surfing. So I think that's just, like, what we all appreciate when they get to go back out there and surf, is that they're not far off the mark still.
No, mate, unbelievable. Yeah, and Parko in particular, You've seen him born at the single fin. He surfed a couple of board riders events for Snapper, but Mick has since retirement has been sort of a lot more visible. We've seen a lot more of his surfing on footage. I want Parko to hit us with a bit more vision, a couple more surf trips. Thanks, Joel. Snorky.
Nostradamus.
Yeah. Question 18. This one's a multiple choice. In the final, Julian Wilson flipped the double bird to A, the judges, B, Vaughan for talking too loud on the VIP deck, C, the Brazilian fans, or D, his mate Jimmy the filmer, who missed his best wave.
Froth.
Who you got?
The Brazilian fans.
What was the go there?
I don't know. I wasn't on the beach watching, but obviously you boys were around the event, but I probably just so vocal and just hurling maybe some just passion Jules' way. And I guess as we've seen throughout that whole event, Jules was ultra passionate for himself and ultra just wearing his heart on his sleeve. So I think we've seen that come out, and I was watching it at home, looking at it going, oh no, he's just copped a 10 grander. He's just dropped the big fine. But when you look back at it, it's just like pure passion. Obviously he says back and him and Felipe can shake hands at the end of it and appreciate just that passion and what happened in that heat. But yeah, Jules just wearing his heart on his sleeve the whole entire contest. And I think there was multiple times throughout the event where Jules went old school on it and went up to competitors in the heat. And I don't know what he said, because that's obviously between Jules and whoever it was, but it'd be interesting to get Jules' breakdown of that.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty subtle through the rounds. Like, he was obviously, his strike rate with his airs was next level, and he was throwing a couple of claims, but man, he step up for the final one. But you can speak more to about
actually,
what's going on there.
Just go, as soon as this episode finishes, just go back one ep. Smithy just did the sickest interview with Joycey about his whole run through the comp, where his head was at, how his sort of attitude began to shift as he got towards finals day. It's incredible. I was just listening to it last night in the car going, what? Like, real insight. And Joycey has done 2 interviews now. I mean, all his post-heat interviews were great too. They were like 5 minutes long. They were really...
he had a
cutting into heats.
He had a lot to say, but
but the Hello Sport interview was just amazing. Yeah, that was pre sort of run. I think he'd just beaten Italo or something, and then
that was interesting. Hello Sport dropped their episode, and I texted you straight away and went, "Hey, have you listened to?"
I said best interview I've ever
this
heard.
Julian interview, and you wrote back and said best interview I've ever heard Julian give.
Yeah,
and I agreed. Just. He was so open throughout the contest, which, as a CT campaigner, full-time campaigner, Jules was pretty guarded, obviously super focused on world titles and event wins, didn't have a lot of time for anyone else. And through his run through the event, he had time. He was like so good with the fans. But the way he spoke about the other CT surfers, it was done with so much class and respect.
Yeah.
Like, it was really cool.
Well, it's a great interview, this Smithy one too, because it takes you right there. One of the big takeaways, which I'd love to get your take on this, is that Jules sort of opened up in that heat with Hello Sport, saying that he'd have sleepless nights before heats and events. And I was just going, wow, I never would have picked him for that guy, because he always had such a kind of an aura of power around the event. Like, you'd never pick him to be in sort of dealing with a bit of anxiety the night before. Like, how do you go sleeping before a heat?
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's so good for elite athletes to be speaking out about just like their experience through events. And to your question, I feel like I have sleepless nights where you're up there, especially when you're at different events that mean more to you or different things like that. You'll definitely feel those emotions a lot more. But I think it's good for everyone to hear, because like, we put professional sports people or anyone that does anything elite on a massive pedestal and feel like they're not human, especially when I was young, looking up to people like Julian or different elite athletes that I respected, and you put them on a pedestal and you hear as well that they're always going to be feeling confident, or these type of words that you just like, oh, they must just be bulletproof and they must never feel or anything like that. But I think it couldn't be further from the truth. I think they feel more than anything, they feel those same emotions that we all feel when we do hard things or put ourselves out there. But they've just got better at being able to manage those emotions and manage those stressful times to be able to then continue just to focus on what's important. So I think every sports person bleeds red. They feel all those different types of emotions, whether it be stress, pressure, anxiety before sleepless nights. Like that's just completely normal. And me and my sports we call that the price of entry.
Jason Patchell.
Yeah, Jason.
And he was working with Julian. They've worked together for a number of years as well.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a guru, huh?
Yeah, I love it.
Just like instantly when you interviewed him, Vaughan, Jason, when Julian was surfing his heat, just gave such good perspective. It's like, it's completely normal for athletes. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, really? Yeah. I thought, Kelly Slater probably spent, how many years was he on tour, dog? Kelly?
So many.
All but 3 years sleeping like a baby.
Yeah.
But 2002 to 2004, probably didn't sleep a wink.
No. Cal, who's the competitor that you've drawn in a CT heat that, just doesn't keep you up at all? You don't have to answer that. It's just joking. I'm sure every heat is stressful and anyone can win. You don't want to underestimate anyone.
I'll tell you one surfer who doesn't seem to be losing any sleep. Oh, actually, no, maybe losing sleep for all the best right reasons is Al Cleveland Jr. He's just having a blast on tour.
He's loving it.
Go, Al.
Anyway, just for people that didn't kind of get into that, it was initially when Julian landed or finished that ride off and he threw the bird up. People going, you and I were watching Vaughan and we were like, is that to the judges?
Yeah.
But it was so far up the point and the judges were so far down, we quickly realised it wasn't to them. So wasn't like they crawled him in the scoreline because he'd flipped the bird.
I wonder what it was that truly sparked it. Did he break that down?
That's all in there.
I think he was getting booed.
Yeah.
And he took it as a massive sign of disrespect at his home event, getting booed when there was like 15 minutes on the clock.
Yeah.
And he just, something in him cracked. And there was a couple of things, I think, that contributed. Like Felipe had a really good score and then actually buzzed Julian on his way back to the inside. And I think Julian didn't bite on that, but it probably was a contributing factor. And then he'd had a couple of cracks at getting the score as well and fallen just short. And then that one, it just all came
One
out.
of the all-time finals, I reckon.
That was the conversation that you had with Toledo in the lineup was about Brazilian fans kind of carrying on like that all over the world. And he just took exception to it. And then I think the coolest thing was that Julian checked himself and apologised to Felipe in the surf. And then the way he spoke about the Brazilian fans on stage,
it was cool.
He just paid him off. He said he said from the bottom of his heart, he loves them.
Yeah,
because they bring something out of him.
Yeah, you got to love that. Like the fandom is everything. Like
it was so sick. The presentation, was unbelievable. The cheering. It was nighttime. The crowd when Felipe dedicated the win to his boy who's celebrating his birthday, and the crowd sang happy birthday to his son, and it was just so emotionally charged, that presentation. And all beautifully conducted by our mate Joey Tapel. All right, question 19, boys. This is an interesting one. You're not going to say Froth or Sammy. It's just going to be first cab off the rank.
Okay.
Just jump in. And our producer, Tani, he'll keep score. He'll add the numbers for you. But we're going to play who coached these surfers during the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro. I'm going to say a surfer's name, and you just jump in with the coach's name. Lakey Peterson. Just jump in. Anytime you're ready. Just
so heavy that I don't know.
Just jump in.
Wayne Bennett.
That would be amazing.
No one?
Leandro Dora.
Oh, it's in Leandro. Yeah. Sorry, Leandro.
Yeah.
I didn't realise.
Morgan Sibley.
Hedgie.
Bang. Leonardo Fioravanti.
Dog.
Baron Mamiya.
Luke Egan.
Oh, shit. Sorry, wrong button. Baron Mamiya. Correct.
Wow, I'm getting mowed down by Cal in the tail end of this thing.
Alejo Muniz.
ADS.
Adriano de Souza, the
Susie,
world champ.
we call him in Australia.
Susie.
Thanks,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah, the big Suze.
Susie.
Brewster Hennessy.
Leandro Dora.
Kanoa Igarashi.
Snake lips.
Well played.
Griffin Colapinto.
Tommy Witts.
Rio Waida.
Reynos.
Reynolds Hayes. Absolute guru. Ian Gentle.
Leandro Dora.
Is that right?
Yeah, you had me
Yeah.
worried there.
Oh, gosh.
Is it? Or is Leandro coaching Ian Gouveia?
No, both. Or
Is
who
it?
do you have down?
I don't have anyone. I thought he had no one.
He might have gone solo, but he works with Leandro.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that is.
Getting
Yeah,
flogged
Cal
here.
would know.
Cal's
Cal
just
would
like
know.
made a break in the dying seconds of the
Yeah,
match,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
just storming up the field to
Out
just
the
plant this
touchline.
thing
Yeah.
under the post.
Yeah.
You know,
He's made the
Scotty
break.
Sattler me off.
I'm trying, mate. I'm chasing. It ain't happening.
Liam O'Brien.
Richo.
Richo.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Not working with bots anymore.
Not for that event.
Okay. All right.
Hectic.
Betty Lou.
Tommy Witts.
That's all I had. Well done, Cal.
Wow, Cal just
It'd be
got
hard
like
to reel
15
in from
points.
there. God.
Oh, mate. Well,
Well, what do they
what's the
call
last
that?
point worth?
Sale of the century, fast money.
Aren't we doing the Pipe Masters thing? We're giving this like
Yeah,
a
15,000.
1.5. Here we go. 10-1. Oh, and half the coaches I'm hanging out with all day long.
Yeah.
Hey, you looking after again?
Final question,
Here we
fellas,
go.
and I have a feeling
Good
this
match,
one's going
Cal.
to
Good match,
spark a
mate.
bit of conversation.
I think you've snapped me.
Question 20, true or false, the Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro men's final was the best final since Slater won Pipe in 2022. Do you even need time to think about this?
I'm definitely going to say it's the best final I've seen in memory, and my memory only goes for about 6 months.
Same. True.
I can't think of a better event just with a little juicy cherry on top than that final. Like, that final was so sick.
And to your point earlier, what makes great finals is how emotionally charged they are. The
Yeah.
event, everybody on the beach the event was packed. Everyone was screaming, whether they're screaming for Jules, against Jules, for Philippe, against Philippe. I don't think it matters at the end of the day. It's just that atmosphere of what it creates. And I think as well, obviously the surfing and the back and forth and the constant, continual consistency of waves. They were just constantly punching. It was like a good, honest, just slug match, just back and forth.
Do you know
It was
what
awesome.
final
Also,
I
I love it when you start finals day with quarters for both the women and the
Yeah,
men.
yeah. It's
Like,
a nice lead up, isn't it?
and the narratives just unfolding throughout the day were remarkable. I mean, we're talking about the men's final because it was one for the ages, but you know, Sally's run through the event, that was remarkable. She was really emotional. Probably, I think Sal, just based on her incredible winning record in CTs, one of the most winning surfers of all time on the women's side, kind of had me thinking she might be able to close the final out. I think, you know, her emotions kind of got the better of her, and Betty Lou was just ready for that victory, ready for that moment. But just the men's event, you know, like the Julian story was huge. It was the big story of the contest, but Felipe's kind of been on this road back to winning as well. And there was a lot of emotion for him around his victory. Yeah. He's been in just all sorts this year.
Isn't it funny, like, you know, we've got this announcement about the tour changing, the finals day is going to be gone. I wasn't anti-finals day. I kind of did enjoy the idea of, like, you know, that whole drama playing out, best surfers in the world for the whole year, having to battle each other. But if I think about my favourite finals of the last 10 years, like, I'm thinking Mick and Kelly at Bells. That's the closest thing that had to similar to this final, when it was just, you know, two guys, apex warriors, teeing off on each other in just such different ways. emotionally charged. MP had just gone. You know, all the stories around it, sort of creating this just bubbling cauldron of energy. Slater's win at Pipe is another example, and these are events where the stakes are just the moment. Like the stake is, this is amazing, like an incredible story. Am I going to be at the very apex of this story when it climaxes? So I don't think we're going to really feel like
Love a good climax.
Well, I don't feel like we're going to be missing the WSL finals. Put it that way. I think what will happen is our marquee events will stand up, and we'll have these moments appearing throughout the year. It's really cool, man. I reckon a big bravo to Bonsoy Gold Coast Pro. It was epic.
Yeah.
One of the best comps I've seen in so long.
Kind of weird too, isn't it, Cal, for an event with waves that were 3 foot for the final to just rate so high. But I mentioned it before. Julian caught 17 waves. There was no downtime. Like your Bells finals typically, the anticipation of a set is kind of there for the whole crowd. There's such gnarly wave selection down there. You're really considering it. But on that little sandbar, every set and the form that those guys were in had the potential to turn the heat. So, everything was swooped on. And they just had a swing at just about anything. Yeah. It was just remarkable.
And when you talk about the sport of surfing, that is when the heats are slow and there's not a lot of action, it is quite boring to the everyday viewer. But moments like that where there's just back and forth, and the waves, and I think even the mindset that Julian and Philippe were both in, they both wanted to just go for it. And like you said, I remember watching Julian take off on waves when he was in the lead, and people are going back around on the ski, and he just had almost sounded like disregard for the situation at hand. He just wanted to surf.
Yeah.
And I think that's just all time for the viewer, just to be able to just be in these just surf, like these events where people just want to surf and just want to just go head to head. And like you said, just the consistency of the waves. Epic.
Who won, Tani? Who won? Do you keep score? Oh, we're going to have this. Where's our little counter? I can't see.
I was going to say, who won the
Brainzo.
Who won the comp?
Who won overall?
Out of us two.
What about the WSL comp? You got any thoughts? Jules and happy.
That's worth talking about.
Happy with the result
for sure. No, it was really funny to me that that conversation kind of continued on for as long as it did.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm more. We've already had our say on the broadcast.
Yeah. I thought it was fine.
I didn't question it at all.
And actually, at the contest site that night, no one was really talking about it.
No
one. It wasn't until the next day that it started to fire up.
I share the same view as you boys, but obviously seeing, like you said, on social media and all that thing, and I was talking to different crew that were at the event talking about Felipe's 9, and when they seen it, they went, that's probably a 9. And so, I don't have a problem with the result, but I was just thought it'd be interesting to get your boys' take, because it obviously is such a talking point, the judging, and especially after big heats like that and big moments. But what I appreciate about Felipe surfing is just the speed and how deep he cut, especially on that 9, even though it was 2 turns on a point break. When you actually look at the technical aspect of that wave and how fast and how just quick in transition and just full the turns were, I don't know, I feel like all of us that are in the know about surf technique and can appreciate that, obviously go, that. Probably give him the nod.
I like the way you're looking at it, because generally speaking, what people do when they're trying to validate the result is almost kind of pick apart different sections of the performance, and they were both 17-point plus heat score totals for the competitors. It was really close, but speed is the obvious difference between Felipe and everyone else in that draw. And Julian, to his credit, when he started in the trials, opening round, elimination round, I think he would admit he wasn't moving that quick. He looked great. He was doing the turns in all the right places, but he was kind of almost, it just seemed like speed was the missing ingredient. And as he moved through the rounds, he just got faster and faster to the final, where it felt like maybe he was the only one that could have challenged Felipe in those kind of conditions. He was just so on. But
Also, it was
picking it apart and picking the rides apart after a final like that just seems silly to me.
it's bunker mentality.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the first 2-turn 9-point ride thrown in that event either. The precedent had been set with Erin Brooks. 2 backside whacks, pretty traditional turns, good foundation surfing, and got what ended up being the highest scoring women's heat total in the event. So there was the potential there, and the judges had already made that known. So it wasn't just out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And the other thing is just on that speed call that you made, it's a good one because when Occy was first trying to re-qualify for the tour, he said to Barton, what do you think? Like, what do I need to do? And he said, mate, you just got to surf faster. And that's always going to be the golden rule. Speed is power.
Well, and speed is for Felipe power, and sometimes his output is so quick in transition that you kind of mistake it for just speed, but he's on another level. I felt Stab Magazine did a great job of kind of fostering a conversation between people who know world champions, CT veterans like Taj, who was arguably the best to ever do it.
There's a lot of people out there in their cars just turning you down right now, Ronnie, going, Joycey got wrong. What are you doing, boys? Get off the WSL.
Oh, good on him. Good on him. But yeah, Mick said he felt the result was right.
Everyone I've spoken to pretty much.
There was a little bit of conversation about the 9. They didn't feel like maybe that was the best wave, but they still felt like Phil got it done.
Yeah.
But this is what you get when you get a final for the ages. You get conversation. And for some people, it'll probably, they'll never work it out. They'll never find the result to be true. I think when they're that close, your bias, your patriotism just naturally creeps in.
Yep.
But I think Mick summed it up best. If you weren't there on the point watching, like your point of view.
Shut your fly trap.
Shut your flaps. But mate, what an absolute joy to have the big dog.
Yes, Cal.
Bonsoy's best.
Hey, listen,
Other than Isabella Nichols, the Bell's champion.
Cal's coming. Well, we got a little ding dong here too. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, yeah, trophy.
Yeah. You got a little ding dong at home, eh?
Yeah.
On your brother. That was against Philippe. You got a first hand. Look at that. And to be honest, I've watched that final back recently, and geez, you're only like 1 or 2 little stumbles from winning it, mate. Before the Changers kicks off, we're going to get you back in to sort of talk about your year and go a bit deep on sort of what this Challenger Series is looking like for you and the rest of the Aussies. So look forward to that too, man.
That's gonna be fun.
Cal. And then the next stop, Margaret River, West Isles. Got to get your thoughts, Cal, quickly. Give us a men's winner and a women's winner. A lot of people opening their betting accounts right now.
Like,
not Vaughan and I.
You just mentioned like the weight of that yellow jersey. I feel like Gabby going over there, that obviously suits her surfing. So I'm gonna back her to be able to just feel the weight of that gold and go put on a strong performance. So I'm gonna go Gabby for the women, and then for the men. To be honest, like I'd love to see George like get a win. So that's a little bit of a
gorgeous George
left of field, but I think his performance is just like, especially on those bigger rights. Obviously, you've seen what he did last year. So yeah, I'm gonna go George. Obviously, Ethan is is a great call. But I'm also thinking Griffin's kind of due for something.
Yeah,
that's a bit on the fence, isn't it?
Nah, not too bad. 3 out of 40 odd is.
Yeah. I'm gonna go those 3.
I think for me, agree with Gabby on the women's side. I think Jack Robbo, just zen place. He wasn't himself on the Gold Coast.
Nah.
A 33rd. Who saw that coming?
Dude,
but he'll tap into Budja and just get right at home over there in the west.
Good news, doggy. We're going to drop the WA Brainzo quick smart too. So straight on the back of this one. Stay tuned for that, folks. Up the Brainzo.
Good luck, folks. On your cow. Rip them up on the Changa, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Mind calm, engage. Intelligence and technology. Surfing information.
I've been waiting all day for. I'm going to start with a couple bananas and then mixed berry frozen blend, my favourite. Bonsoy almond milk and heaps of peanut butter. Nice little bit of coconut to finish off. Get that in ya.